and welcome to Junk Journal Inspirations. My name is Emily. I'm here today to share a tutorial on how I made this adorable little coin purse out of just a clasp, just the frame of a coin purse and paper, basically. It's not difficult at all, and they would make fabulous, now this was at one time a gift card, so it's the right size. They would make fabulous little gift card holders for Christmas or birthdays or Hanukkah or any reason you would need to give a gift card. And then there's, you get this adorable little decorated coin purse as well as the gift card. The recipient does anyway. So I want to show you how I made them. This was inspired by someone in my Facebook group named Leslie. Hi Leslie, if you're watching. She does such amazing things, and I have so many of her ideas on my to-do list, and I finally did one. So I am going to tell you the supplies that I've used, and I will also, they'll be on the screen right about now, so you can take a screenshot if you want, so you have the list. I'll also type it in the description box, and anything that I can find on Amazon, I will add an Amazon link next to. So the first thing you're gonna need is one of the blank coin purse, clasp. They're called coin purse clasp frames. And I did find these on Amazon, and it came in a pack of 9. So there are 3 different colors. There's this beautiful like rose gold, the regular gold, and then this sort of, dark metal color. And they're fairly reasonably priced. I'll put the link in the description box, but you're gonna need one of those. If you don't wanna buy one, and you have some coin purses, collecting dust somewhere, you can just take it apart. I am not sure how easy or difficult that is, but you basically just want to get it down to the metal frame part. So that's the first thing you need. You're going to need some heavy cardstock. The heavier the better. I chose pattern. This is actually Tim Holtz worn wallpaper. It's pretty heavy duty, and I like the texture of it. It kind of almost feels like a fabric. You'll just need, if you're going to use the worn wallpaper, you can cut down just one piece, and the measurements are 3 3/8 across, and this is inches, by 4 3/4 inches. And let me give it to you in centimeters. Centimeters, it's about 8. Do you say 8.6 centimeters or 86 millimeters? I'm not real good at my metric, so I'm probably saying it wrong, and then like 12.1 in length. But you can make them any length you want. You just need to make sure that the width will fit inside your frame. So length doesn't really matter. You just want the width to fit inside your frame. And I need to cut this down. But anyway, so that is the measurements I used for the paper, and you'll need 2, one for the front, one for the back. You will need some sort of pokey tool or awl or needle or whatever you use to poke holes. And then I just used this old piece of sort of, thickish craft foam, so I don't put holes in my desk, which I have done before. So you'll need that. You'll need some thread for sewing. I am using this linen thread by Stampin' Up. It just happened to be something I had in my stash, but you can use embroidery floss, or a heavier duty thread is probably better, as long as it's not too thick for the holes in your frame. I don't know if you can see. Let me open it up here. There are holes to sew whatever you're going to sew onto your frame. So you just want to make sure that the thread will fit through there, and you'll also need a needle, and you want to make sure that it will also fit through the holes. And then let's see, a sewing machine is optional. I sewed the bottom of mine on my machine, but you can just glue that if you don't have a sewing machine. It's not a big deal. I also have, let's see, a bulb pin here, because these frames happen to have a little like, oh, what is that called? Something to hang stuff from. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. So I have a bulb pin, and then maybe like you could, you know, whatever you want to put on there. You don't have to put anything on there, but I have a charm and just some ribbon, and just made a little tassel. And then you'll want some glue and some scissors, obviously. And then let's see, I just, you know, some scraps or die cuts or fabric or cheesecloth, some words maybe, whatever you want to do to decorate it, if you want to decorate it. Maybe you don't want to decorate it, and that's fine too. I'm going to use a corner rounder. I'm going to be using my Barely art glue and my Fabri-Tac and some distress ink in Vintage Photo. And all of those things are just sort of, you know, probably stuff you have around anyway. And you can use whatever glue you want. Doesn't have to be what I use. So yeah, so let's get started here. I just wanted to show you the inside real quick. You can see where I've sewn the paper to the frame. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, I'm gonna stop rambling. I hope you guys are all doing well. The first thing you want to do is put your two pieces of paper back to back, okay? So you want the fronts both showing, and you want to do it like this because if you stack them up like this, it's not, when you round it, it's not gonna cut the same, if that makes sense. Unless you're a super duper tracer and cutter, it's probably not gonna be exactly right. So I forgot to mention bulldog clips. So I'm just gonna grab a couple. This will help hold, these are actually binder clips. These will help hold your paper together while you're tracing your rounded part here with your frame. So give me just a second. I just want to write that down so I can put it in the list of supplies. So binder clips, or if you don't have binder clips, paper clips would work. Anything to just hold those two pieces together and, you know, lined up and straight. So what we're gonna do is place our frame onto our paper, and I'm actually going to turn it this way so I can see it better. So you want to make sure that you line the top edge of the paper up with the top edge of the frame here, okay? You want to make sure that you're above the holes enough that when you sew it won't tear. So just make sure of that. And then you want to kind of make sure that it's, you know, just sort of straight. It's not too critical. And then I'm just using a mechanical pencil, and I'm just going to draw a line on the outside here, oops, where that, you know, the top of that frame is. So let me make sure I'm not moving it too much. It's a little bit, not difficult, it just wants to move a lot, and then you just have to kind of line it back up. All right, come on. This is not supposed to be difficult right now. Of course, you know, I'm trying to film, so of course it's difficult because nothing ever goes great. Okay, good enough. So let me see if you can see my pencil lines on there. Maybe not. Let me make them darker. So you're going to end up cutting inside the lines because we traced you know, we traced around the outer edge. So we're going to cut, there you go, you can see my little arch there. So I'm going to cut together, both of them together, I'm gonna cut right inside that line. It does not have to be beautiful. Trust me, mine never looks that fabulous. I'm gonna move my binder clips up a bit just because I really wanna make sure that this is held together. There we go. And then we'll just cut. So yeah, I'm just gonna cut this, you know, in a rounded shape as best I can. And I'm sure there are people that can do this much better than I can. I'm just not the best at fussy cutting, but okay. So we just want it to be that shape for the most part, right? And then we're gonna check and see if it will fit in our frame. And if not, we'll just trim whatever might be not fitting. Now, you know, if you have different sized, oh, I think it's too wide. Okay, let me, how do I want to do this? Okay, I'm going to take this to my paper trimmer, and I'm actually going to take off a sliver from each side, and I'll redo the measurements so you'll see the correct measurement in the beginning of the video. Even though I was saying 3 3/8, I think it needs to be a little bit not quite that wide. So I'm just going to take a sliver off of here and a sliver off of here, and I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. The correct measurements are 3 1/8 by 4 3/4. Okay, and I already fixed that when I edited, so I'm the only one confused right now. But yeah, so that'll work for the ones if you purchase them on Amazon. That'll be the right size. Okay, so now we have our two pieces, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and round my corners here at the bottom. Like so, all right. Okay, and then we can ink here, and I'm going to use one of my little makeup brushes to ink the inside so it's not so white. And yeah, because as you know, I have issues with white spaces. I don't know, I'm weird. Okay, so let me go ahead and ink this up. So what's everybody been up to? How's the weather where you are? I know it's been like in the 90s here. It's been awful, which, you know, is not odd for this time of year. I just am done with it by this point, and I just want some cool weather. I was talking to my friend Nikki, and she's got weather in the 50s. I'm so jealous, but she's in Minnesota, so it makes a little bit more sense, I guess. But I'm like, come on, bring on fall. I don't know, we'll see. Past few years, we haven't even had fall. We've had summer, slightly cooler summer, and then maybe like a week of fall, and then winter. So I'm not holding out much hope. But yeah, you know, it's sunny today, so I'm not complaining. I mean, I am complaining, but I'll stop, I guess. All right, so we inked our edges. Now I'm gonna use my little makeup brush, and we will ink the inside here. I'm not gonna do all the way down because it's not necessary. You can't really see inside it once you get it put together. Just this top part mostly. So there we go. All right, done with that, at least for now. All right, now what we need to do is, again, put this together so that the fronts are both showing, so back to back, okay? And, well, actually not yet. First, what we're gonna do is I need to draw or just make marks where my holes are gonna be. So we will, yeah, I don't know what I was saying. Ignore that whole part right there because that didn't make any sense. I got ahead of myself and then wasn't even, yeah, it just wasn't right at all. Okay, so make sure, so this is gonna be the outside, right? So make sure you put your paper in there the correct way. And then I sort of just, I don't know, there's not an exact science to this. Do whatever seems to be right for you, whatever works for you. There's no real way to like lay this down and do this. You kind of just have to find a way to hold it as tight against the frame on the inside as possible. It's a little finicky, but then all I did was take, I think I used a marker for this because it will show better, or just a micron pen or whatever you happen to have that might be, you know, just some darker ink so you can see better. And just line it up the way you want it. And then I just marked my holes. So I just put the pen in there and kind of hope for the best. Is it working? Yeah, okay. Like I said, it's a bit finicky. Probably not the best, probably not doing it the best way, you know, that kind of thing. I'm sure there's, you know, someone will be like, hey, why didn't you just do this? And I'll be like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But once you get this done, it's easier. Okay, I took it out, so now I have to realign it. I feel like it wasn't as difficult the last time. All right, let's see if I can. There's just not a great way. Okay, this is better. All right, do it this way. Hold the clasp towards you, like so. And then just make sure that I'm lined up here. Come on. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Is that? Okay. Now I can. Okay, and I only did that once. I didn't do it on both sides because I didn't have a problem and they were both, you know, pretty much the same. So can you see my dots? Not real well. Basically, I have just a row of marks across the curved part. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use paper clips this time because they lay flatter. And I'm just gonna paper clip this together and make sure your, you know, outsides are facing out, okay? And then this is where your foam, or you could use a book block or whatever you have, you know, to protect your workspace from your pokey tool. And I am just going to poke through both pieces of paper right on the dots that I made with my pen. And looks like I missed a couple. I'll go back and try. Yeah. You know, I told you this wasn't difficult. It really isn't. I just, when you're filming, everything just seems to be more difficult, so I apologize. missing a couple here. Let me find my pen. All right. There we go. Okay. All right. Difficult part over. Now, so we have, oh, you probably can't see. There we go. You see all the holes? Okay. Now comes the fun part. It's, again, a bit fiddly, but it's not impossible. And if I can manage it, anyone can manage it. So just make sure that your needle is not this, well, it might work. It might work. Hopefully it will. All right, so like I said, I'm using this just linen thread. Just happen to have it in my stash. But you can use whatever you have, whatever you like using. I suggest a strong thread, you know, just to keep it, you know, it's paper. So, all right. I am going to start, you just start with one of the sides, right? Or one of, yeah, doesn't matter which one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my needle through the first hole on, I'm going to start on the right side. I'm right-handed, so that makes sense to me, but if you're left-handed or want to do it differently, by all means. Well, I guess I can't really do it that way. Put it in the frame first, Emily, but then you can kind of find the hole, right? So I'm in the paper and then through the frame. All right, like so. So can you see that? I've got the needle through the first hole and the first hole on the frame, okay? And I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to leave a bit of a tail, okay? Now we're going to go down into the second frame hole here, okay? And I'm going to catch the second hole in my paper, okay? And I'm going to pull that through. Now I'm going to tie a little knot here. This is kind of the finicky part, but can make it work. Just did like a square knot sort of, and then I did an extra. All right, and then you can cut off, go ahead and cut off your loose end, just leave a little bit of a tail. All right, and then we're gonna continue sewing. I think that this is called a back stitch, what I'm doing. So we are through the second hole right now. So now I'm gonna go to the next hole in the line, okay? And I'm going to go through the paper, and then, if I'm lucky, through the frame. The more holes you get done, you know, sewn, the easier it is to find, you know, it lines up better as you go. All right, so we're going to pull through here. We're in the third hole now, okay? Pull through, nice and tight. Don't pull too tight or you'll tear your paper. And then we're gonna go backwards, okay? This is why it's called a back stitch. Back down into the second hole, okay? It's a little, you've got that knot there, so it's just a little tricky, but it can be done, not a big deal. All right, so back down into the second hole. So hopefully, can you see my thread there? We've got two stitches essentially showing, okay? Now we'll come up through the next hole from the back, all right? There we go. Do you see? Can you see that? Okay. And then we're gonna go backwards again, back down into the hole, the previous hole, okay? And you're gonna do that all the way across. So I'll just do a couple more so you can see, and then I'll continue. I'll speed up or cut it out. So we're gonna go through the next hole, the next available open hole. Okay. And then down into the previous hole. I'm pretty sure it's called a back stitch. If I'm wrong, please correct me. All right, so now down into the next hole. Okay, see how it gets easier to line it up, and then backwards. Okay, so you're just going forwards and backwards, all the way across. So you have a line of stitches right across the whole thing. So let me go ahead and speed up this side, and then we'll do the next side. To my final two holes, okay? So if you can see the stitching across the whole thing, and then here's what the inside looks like. All right, so I'm on the inside right now, so we're gonna go into this is the second to last hole here. And then back. All right, and then this is the last hole. Okay, so we're coming out the last hole here. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go back inside the previous hole, and then we're going to try and tie a knot. What I did was I take my needle. All right, so here's my, okay, so here's my thread, right? I'm gonna hold that, I'm just gonna kind of hold that out of the way with my thumb, okay? I'm gonna take my needle, and that last stitch on the inside, I just run my needle, I just try and get my needle underneath that, okay? It's easier to just poke it out through here and then bring it back through. So you'll need it back through to tie your knot. But basically this is what you end up with. You end up with a loop that is tucked underneath that final stitch, and then you can just put your needle through there and carefully tighten up that knot that it will create on its own. And I usually do that same thing twice. You maybe you don't have to, but Just make sure you don't tie your knot while your needle is outside of the frame or you'll have to undo it. You'll see why if you do it. It'll just, your knot will be on the outside attached to the frame. Okay, so there is our knot. And now I can cut my thread, and we have one side completely attached to our frame. Okay. All right, so now we need to put the other side on, and I'm going to tell you right now that it is a bit even more fiddly to do the second side because you've got your other side attached already. So open it up the best you can. You can't go too far, or you're going to start creasing your paper, okay? But again, same thing, you just want to line it up, and we've already poked our holes when we poked them at the same time as the other side. So I'm going to get a bigger piece of thread. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'll show you a couple, then I'll speed it up and show you the end, kind of the same way I did the other side. It's really hard. I just want to say, I've gotten comments before about this sort of thing. It is very difficult to film something like this. So please ask any questions you might have, and I will do my best to address them. But it is difficult, so I appreciate you bearing with me here. All right, I'm trying to remember how I did this. All right, so I open it as best I can, just enough that I can, sort of work inside the frame. And let's get our first one done, and then it should be a tad easier from there. There we go. That wasn't too bad. All right, just make sure you leave a tail to tie a knot, and then down into the next hole. Okay, like so, and then we can tie our knot. This is the fiddliest part of doing the second side is trying to get a knot tied in here, but it can be done. It's just take your time. And for those of you that don't have hand problems, it's probably not as difficult, but my hands just don't want to do these fiddly things anymore. So I do the best I can. All right, cut off our end. All right, now we're ready to go and continue on. Okay, so we want to go to the next hole. Okay, and we're going to do our back stitch again. I hope that's right. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully no one's screaming at me telling me it's the wrong thing. So we've gone into the third hole, and we're going to go back down into the second hole. And remember, that knot is there now, so it's just a little tricky. Just take your time because you are working with paper, and paper is somewhat fragile. That's why we're using a nice thick cardstock. All right, and we're just going to keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll speed this up, and I'll come back when we get close to the end. All right, we just have a few stitches left. Now, this is going to get a bit hairy because you've got all of this you're working around, right? So just take your time, and it will get done, I promise. It is doable. All right, so we're backwards, and all right, we're in now to the final hole. All right, so I've come through the final hole, okay? I want to go back through the second to last hole, or the hole previous, maybe. Patience is key. Nope, 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 nope. Hold on. Patience, something I don't have an abundance of. All right. Okay, all right, so we're all the way through, and if you've done it correctly, you should have stitches connecting all of the holes, okay? All right, so now we have to try and tie a knot. So we're gonna do the same thing we did before. I'm gonna take my needle, I'm gonna go underneath that last stitch, and I'm gonna sneak out the side of the frame. I'm gonna hold my loop, and I'm gonna come back so that my needle's in the inside of the purse again, okay? And I'm gonna go through that loop and just pull it tight, gently, 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 okay? And then we're gonna do the same thing again. I'm losing my, oh, there we go, okay. And it wants to get wrapped around everything, you know, it's just, all right, back through and pull it tight. Okay, that should be good enough. All right, so we're done with that. I'm gonna cut off the end here. Now, if you feel more comfortable, I didn't do it on the first one, but maybe I will now. So, okay, so here's what we have, right? So here's the beginnings. We're open on the bottom. Here's what we have so far. If it makes you feel more comfortable long term, I was thinking you could just add a bead of, I'm gonna use Barely Art glue, right along your thread line and, you know, onto the paper, just as an extra precaution from tearing. Honestly, unless you're like really messing with it, it should be fine even if you don't do this, but let's just go ahead and do it in case you feel like it. I'm gonna add some, you know, on the ends where your knots are. Hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'll do it, I think after the fact is probably better. Then you don't have to wait for it to dry before you can continue on. So yeah, I would suggest just doing it after you're completely finished and then letting it sit to dry. Whoops. Like so. Okay, so I'll just let that sit to dry and that should be fine. Okay. So now, if you're going to sew, last time I did not bother gluing before I sewed. I used some of these sewing clips. It was a little bit of a pain in the butt, so I think I might just add some glue this time, just because it's easier. If you're not going to sew at all, I would suggest using a heavier duty glue. Not that this wouldn't work, but I'm just going to use this to hold things in place until I can get it to the sewing machine. So I'm just going to put a little bit at the bottom and slightly up the sides. I'm not going to go all the way because I'll show you in a second why. So we'll just glue that, make sure that it's fairly lined up. When you do this, clasp your purse closed. Okay, all right, so then I'll show you what I mean by not going all the way up the sides. If you go all the way up the sides, okay, if you sew or glue all the way up to the hinge, I think you're gonna run into issues where it might tear. You really need to have that open there where the hinge is. Okay, can you see how you can see through there? Here's the one I did before that's sewn. I only sewed to here and I left this open just for ease of movement and functionality. I think it's probably a better idea. Can you see? You can see my finger through there, right? So there's just a little bit of a gap. I would say, if I had to put a measurement on it, between the hinge and where I started stitching or ended stitching is about a 1/2 inch. However, when you are sewing this, because you have the clasp attached, right? And you kind of have to do it this way or it would be impossible to sew the clasp on, in my opinion, if you sewed first. What I did was I sewed until I hit this with my foot on my sewing machine. And that was, you know, that was far enough that it was fine. So it's impossible for me to show you this because my sewing machine's on the other side of the room. But basically I started sewing here, okay, at the bottom corner, and I went around and I sewed until I couldn't get any closer, like this was in my way, okay, under my sewing machine foot. Then I just sewed this side the same way until I couldn't sew anymore because this is in the way. So I'm gonna go do that real quick and I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so I'll try and show you how I did this. I left my strings attached so you can see my beginning and my end. So here is where I started, okay? And I just straight stitched across here and just kept going until here, okay? That's where my stitches end. So you've got a bit of a gap there, okay? And then I brought it over and I started here again and I went all the way up until I couldn't go any further, which was about right here. And so you've got a little bit of a gap there. So let me cut my threads. It's a little, you know, it's a little tricky, but I think it looks really cute when it's done, so it's worth it. All right. Now, I've shown this trick before, but I'll show it again. When you sew through paper, you tend to get, you can see some of the white from the paper when the needle goes through this way. See, it looks really nice on this side, right? But when it pokes through, it leaves a bit of the white of the inside of the paper, if that makes sense. So I just use my makeup brush, get a little bit of ink, and I just very lightly go right over that stitching line. And that just hides the white. I don't know why I have such an issue with that, but man, I definitely do. Okay, so there we go. It is now sewn and everything is together. You've got room for it to open, and now we can just decorate the outside. If you don't want to decorate, that's totally up to you. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and decorate mine and show you what I did. Now this one, I must have sewn differently or decorated differently because my little charm holder, I don't know what to call that thing, loop, is on the opposite side, but that doesn't matter. Okay, so I'll grab, whoops, a gold little bulb pin here out of my little vintage tin. I love this little thing. I've got it way overstuffed, but okay. And I'm just gonna attach that like that for a second. And then I brought over, I've got some little pearl trim and some sari silk. Actually, probably tear this here. Like so. Okay, and I've got this little piece of like crocheted trim that I tea dyed. This was some clothing I had, and basically what I did, I'm gonna trim that crochet trim in a moment. Basically what I did is I sort of twisted it up like this, just kind of one twist. So I had some technical issues, and basically my camera just decided that it wasn't gonna film anymore, and I didn't notice right away. I noticed pretty quickly, but not right away, so I apologize. All I did was finish putting together the little tassel. I've got a little flower charm on there, and you know, you saw what I used, and I trimmed it down to sort of you know, be the right size there. And I have also glued, I've added glue. You can still see it, it's not dry yet, you know, where the stitching is on the inside. So all we have left to do is decorate the outside. So I apologize, it's yesterday was sunny, today is rainy and gloomy, so you know, of course, that's just the way it goes, right? Yeah, I thought I had lost the entire video that I had made, you know, when it yeah, yesterday was not such a great day because it just was not showing up anywhere. I could not find the video. It wasn't in my you know, my photos on my phone where it usually is. I just couldn't find it, and I figured, well, it's gone, because, you know, where would it be? And this morning, magically, it was in my photos. I have no idea. I am not tech savvy, as you know, if you've been watching me for any amount of time. And when things like that happen, I don't understand it, but all is well. I didn't have to start over. Yeah, we're good to go. All right. I didn't mention before, but I will be adding these to my Etsy shop. I thought they would be nice for people who want to give gift cards, or, you know, want something that they can, you know, tuck something into. So these will be listed, and I'll make some more, and I'll probably do some Christmas themed ones, and they're really fun to make, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. All right, so let's go ahead and just sort of decorate this up a little bit. I just have some vintage lace here. Maybe we'll put some cheesecloth. I don't know, maybe not cheesecloth. I have some of this fun packaging. I was so excited when I saw it in a box. My family thinks I'm insane. It's okay. I don't care. They can think what they want. Yeah, I get super excited about packaging and garbage. My youngest, Tyler, saves stuff for me. It's super sweet, but he's like, hey, I've got some garbage for you. And I'm like, okay, I'll take that. Yeah, anyway. All right, so I have a die cut flower here. This is part of the Tim Holtz Tattered Florals Bigs die. And then this is, I think, I don't remember, maybe one of Tracy's words, probably a Tracy Fox word. Anyway, so I thought I'd add that. I was gonna add this pearl trim, but I'm not sure if I can make that work. Probably need some special glue back there. So let's go ahead and use, I don't know, this is 9001 by Surebonder. I don't find it to be any different really than the E6000, which I also have, but currently my E6000 lid is glued to my, glued to the thing. So I can't get it open, and I keep forgetting to have my husband do it for me. It's just one of those things. I'm not really good about making sure things are clean and all of that before I put them away. Okay, let's see how we can do this. I'm hoping maybe we can get that to stick. It just might take Might take a bit of time, but that's okay. We can still continue. All right, let me put some more. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I think they're really fun to make, like I said. And you know, now I'm on the hunt for you know, vintage and antique coin purses. If they're maybe broken, or you know, like they're not in the best of shape, then I wouldn't feel so bad about taking the clasp off, if you know what I mean. Yeah, one more thing to look for. It's always, you know, there's always something to look for, right? I'm just adding some Fabri-Tac for this lace. So the pearls are just going to kind of be in the background. I think that'll look kind of cool. Maybe, I don't know. I like it. Ah, there's glue everywhere now. All right, stick. Okay, and then this is a bit tricky because I like to kind of keep it 3D, if you know what I mean. So I just sort of add glue and then just sort of push it in place. And hope for the best, I guess, is my method of crafting. I was talking to my friend Lynn. Hi Lynn, if you're watching. And she was saying she likes that when YouTubers, you know, don't have it all together. She didn't use those words, but you know, I think I agree. I like oh, you're not really gonna get to see a whole lot of that, are you? Maybe we don't need the flower for this one. I've got some bling here. Nah, we need something. We need something. Well, let me see. Oh, I have smaller ones. Let's see what we have here. I did a whole bunch of die cutting because my friend Jenny let me borrow her Vagabond too. Oh my gosh, I so need one of those. So I am now saving up for an electronic die cutting apparatus machine thingy. Man, it's so much easier. I wish they made one that you could just kind of like turn the power button on and you didn't have to hold it down the whole time it was cutting. But, you know, so you could get like other stuff done while it's working, but that's okay. I understand that that's not necessarily there. That's better. Okay. That, you know, maybe is problematic, to just be left on. So I get it, but, yeah, no, other than that, man, that is majorly awesome. So I'm saving up for that, either the Vagabond or I guess the Vagabond. I don't know what the difference. Like the Big Shot Express seems to be very similar. Maybe it's just got a bigger cutting area. I'm not sure. It seems to be more expensive, but I'm not, you know, I don't know the differences really. You can tell me if you know. I just am getting, my hands are just getting too bad to try and work with the crank version. I can do it, but you know, it's kind of like every time I'm thinking, oh, I should do some die cutting, and then I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do die cutting because it's gonna hurt. All right, let's see if I have a smaller little pearl here. I see one, but it refuses to come out. Is it too big? No, that looks nice. All right, so we're almost done here. I'm sorry for the length. I feel like, well, I've got some editing to do, so it probably won't be as long as I feel like it is, but oh, I hope that you were inspired to maybe give this a try. I think it's fun. It's something different, and you know, I'm always looking for ways to present gift cards that aren't, you know, so boring. This would be great for like Happy Mail too. You could tuck a couple things in here. I mean, you know, it's kind of fragile, so just keep that in mind, but you can tuck some things in there. So I think this is fabulous. So I want to thank Leslie once again from my Facebook group. Hi Leslie, if you're watching, for sharing this idea and giving me the inspiration to give it a try. So if you're interested in these, go check out my Etsy shop. It'll be linked right here at the end of the video, or you can also find it in the description box. And I will be making more. So if you want more Christmas themed, just hit the little heart in my shop, and that way you will get notified when I list new things. All right, guys, I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will be back soon. I'm going to start doing I'm going to try to do some shorts where I have a little, let me grab it. I have a little sketchbook that I got super cheap somewhere. I can't even remember where. And I think I'm going to just play with it and do some collage. And I thought I would just kind of film that, speed it up, and then I can upload it to YouTube as a short. It's just something different. All right, so yeah, check out all of my social media links in the description box. It's almost time for Nikki's freebie in my Facebook group. So you don't want to miss out, and you can get all the past freebies as well. And then let's see, what else? I think that's it. All right, guys, have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.